can see these pipes coming down here, and these come from a water facility which is extracting water from this very small pond which isn't fed by any rivers, but the water level doesn't go down. So, you know, this is part of an experiment I did, which we'll touch on in a little bit. Yeah, these extract water and then send it to different areas of the factory that I need it. Right. Over here we have where my truck comes in. It will bring in the plastic and rubber, brings it into this little facility here, drops it off. And then around the back here, this takes these out and sticks them through a splitter, a smart splitter, so that it fills up some buffers. These buffers hold plastic and rubber on either side, and then that gets taken down through a double conveyor belt down there for where it's going to be used in my storage and used in the factory. And this is where the overflow kicks in. Anything that overflows from here, because I need to keep the plastic and rubber going over in my facility to keep fluids flowing. And here we are. That takes that down to the awesome sink, where it sinks all the stuff and turns it into tickets. So I'm going to take the quick way back. It's going to be to the Hypertube hub, because we'll have a little look at that at the same time. Hypertubes are fun, but nice. You can take your hands off kind of way of travelling. Gets a little bit crazy when there's lots of tubes in one place, but here we are. So here I have tubes that go off to all different sections of the factory. Got the factory ground floor, factory first floor, factory second floor. We've got the lorry drop off where we just came from, phase 3 production, which was when I was doing phase 3 production. It's now phase 4. That's that little building there, end of my cursor. We'll go and have a look at that next. Munitions production, we've just been there. That was the black powder assembly, the oil rig. We'll go back over there in a mo. That's over to the space elevator. This is the experimental one, and I didn't want to go this way. You can. That's because I accidentally backed into one. Because these were extra ones. So we've got my crystal mine and Urania, which is the current place that I'm building at the moment. So if we head to phase 3 production, which is this little building over there. Phase 3 is in this nice little building that I made. It's not as pretty as it was when I first started, because I've changed its configuration to do other things since then. In here, this is now producing stuff that I just needed, which was radio control units. So you can see up there, I need them for other things. And supercomputers. I don't necessarily need them, like they're not here, for example, but I'll need these to be able to produce items that are in those selections. And they're currently just depositing and storing over the train station. They're not needed at the moment, but it's just somewhere to store them since that line was already set up from before. Yeah, these manufacturers, I had some assemblers over here sorting out some items that needed to be made here. They aren't currently used now because the items that I'm making are made from items that I already have. As you can see, there's a bit of spaghetti up here where I was changing different items that I brought over. Yeah, a little bit messy, not the end of the world though, still good fun. Don't think I can get through this because of the movement. Oh yeah, maybe no, let's not. Let's just go to the actual door. So yeah, that's that, and I've given this a nice glass roof, so it's always got light coming in. It's, you know, always able to see what's going on. Yeah, you can see this stuff. This is there were some gas, what they are, plants of some description that were here before. Remember I said that I built this to cover up a big rock. This big rock was like a gas area, so that you couldn't really stay there without hurting yourself or having gas masks, for example. But you can blow them up with obelisks, so I got rid of them. But the only annoying thing about it is the effect that shows the gas being released. It still stays. So I've covered a load of them up, but these ones still stay. I'm hoping that will get patched at some point. I'm guessing that's maybe a save bug or something. I'm not sure. But yeah, it still happens as far as I know. Next time I see something, I'll show you. But yeah, this stuff exports here, and then goes on those conveyors and goes over to my train station. I also have an overflow here, which goes and joins to the sink. It's currently not being used, but it was being used previously. Roof. That was it, because that was it. I remember what I used it for. It's because when I first set my factory up to make motors, you needed to have rotors and stators, two different items, and I had them both building opposite each other, and they were balanced. But after a while, when you go in and you take a few stacks of motors because you need them, but you didn't need rotors or something else, then it just, you need stators for something, or you need rotors for something, sorry. Now you go and grab a load out of the machine, and then of course it changes the demand slightly, and then of course it goes out of sync. So in order to keep this from getting blocked up with like rotors and stators, for example, the one I didn't need, I think that's a rotor down there that I was needing, I then had stators, yeah that's it, so stators is that one there, rotors is that one, so they're coming on a mixed belt. So to keep everything coming through so that it would keep alternating between building each one onto the line, I then have a smart splitter there taking off the stators and just sending them to the sink. You know, just get rid of them. It kept the production going, for example. Now up here, some more spaghettification, as you can see. Ugh. As I built the factory, and then I needed different resources for different things. Like, it's sort of like the factory ended up being kind of limited. So I then had to pull different things out of my buffers that were in there to then go to different areas. And yeah, it's kind of a mishmash. I mean, I think it's still got a little bit of its charm to it, because you can kind of see the history of the site, if you know what I mean. Kind of just, you know, as it's developed and kept going on and changed, etc. You can see my aluminium plant up there. We'll get there soon. Yeah, I don't know. It's still got some kind of charm that I enjoy. Hopefully I don't run out of power going across here. No, I don't. You can see I had other things coming. There's the motors from other things, and you can see where I've pulled different items out, different places of the factory, to then bring out here and just kind of hidden it upstairs. I needed sulfur over with my battery production for my drones, so I built a drone platform on here which takes sulfur over. You can see as well, I also took over some heavy modular frames for, what else was I building over there? The thing that heavy modular frames are used for, which is probably the next step of the modular frames. And I had to build a whole buffer system for that as well, for the frames and for the sulfur, and then an overflow, and then it would recycle the sulfur back in to keep it going round, but it's probably all got blocked up with sulfur now, because you can see it mixes with heavy frames. But obviously there's no demand at the moment because the drone isn't actually moving, outgoing, incoming. Oh, I see, it's got clogged up with the incoming. That's why if I was to move a bunch of this, it would then start filling up. Drone would get loaded. Yeah, so I obviously need to do this more efficiently, but this is one of my more recent additions, so I haven't really learned the best practice of this yet. Just trying to jury rig it at the moment. But that drone is going to go off and it's going to fly over to my aluminium facility, which is also where it's producing things like batteries and stuff as well. So that will fly off and it's going to go up, roughly up there, I think. See, off it goes. And we'll see the other end of that in a little bit. But yeah, so that's what's going on up here. So I've shown that, I've shown that, I've shown that, I've shown the bottom floor of this, I've shown that. This is a more recent building. Let's go show this while we're here. So I also needed to produce for up there, or for my latest thing that I'm building. Actually, no, yeah. I needed to produce extra stators. So I built a stator construction plant in here, and this is more like probably a little bit closer to, I'd say it's not perfect, but it's probably a little bit closer to how I'd build things in the future. You build like a little building or a certain production facility to make the thing you need, and then have that facility dedicated to making that one item. So in here we've got copper coming in, and coal coming upstairs. Do I have a door? So I think, is it just copper and coal coming in here? I think so. Looks like it. We'll see, we'll see. So I do have a way in somewhere. That's the exit. I thought I had a door somewhere. Maybe I don't. Let's have a look. Our squizzle around this side. Alright, no, there's nothing over there. Okay, so Let's just sneak in through here. So the copper comes in, gets smelted into copper ingots. Those copper ingots, and this is all balanced, by the way, so I've got 30 copper, so 90 copper per minute. These are then taking 30 per minute. Oh, sorry, these then taking 15 per minute. So 90, 30, 30, so 60. So I'm overproducing, yes, I'd only needed 2, but meh, it's better to overproduce at this level, this end of the stage, rather than later on, I think. So they go through there and they make copper wire. Each of them are making 30 copper wire, so that's 120 copper wire across the 4 constructors. They are then spreading between 3 assemblers, and they need 40 each, so that's, you can see why I need the 120 copper wire. And they're on the tier 5 belt, I think, so that disperses nice and quick down to each of them. And I think they're relatively well balanced, especially for wire. Pipes they're over on, but to make 5 per minute it needs 40 per minute, and they usually keep coming in just enough to keep it going. The first ones, obviously the earlier ones in the link, they get a little bit more wire because they take it all, because once that's full, all the wire gets distributed to these 2, so that's fine. And then that goes out, makes stators, and the stators go out that way. Now up top, as you can see, these, to make the stators, they also needed steel pipes. So we have up here oh yeah, that was it. There's also some steel, no, something coming in from somewhere. Oh yeah, that was it, yeah. So we've got coal and iron ore coming in. Coal and iron coming in. And then that coal and iron is being distributed between these 2 foundries. These 2 foundries, they're making steel ingots. And then these 3 constructors are then making steel pipes, so 45 steel pipes. And then those steel pipes then just descend straight down and go into the backs of the other machines down there. So as you can see, I've eliminated a lot of the little gaps and stuff that I had, not next to each other, but a lot of the gaps and extra stuff that I was taking in with extra conveyor lengths and stuff that I didn't need. So this is one of the more recent ones I've built, so it's a little bit more compact, a little bit more efficient. And I made a little walkway up here because I thought that looked cool to be able to look down there. Anyway, that's that. We need to go out the exit hole. I'm going to take a trip at the shitter. Out with the stators go. The stators go into this double stack large storage, and then from the top exit they come out here, because that nicely went over the top of my other iron conveyors that were coming through here. This is ready for more iron production somewhere else as needed. They're ready to be plugged in as necessary. See, there's iron ore there. I think I just used that and I didn't need to use any more. See, I've managed to get 3 lines to go into the triple hole, 2 elevators and one normal entrance. So let's zoom around now, because this is then the second part of my, oh hang on, I still haven't finished showing this bit. And then this up here is where those stators then go. So they come into here to make electromagnetic control rods, which get linked with AI limiters, which I'm bringing in from the factory. Not very efficiently, but they are coming through slowly to make those. And then they're shooting off down on this line, which goes off down that valley, which we'll get to later. Oh, hang on. What's being made over here? I also needed to make some fluid of some description by the looks of it. These are all pumping out sulfuric acid. That was it. That's why I need the sulfur up here. So sulfur and water coming down here. That's the other place the water extractor goes to. Brings water down here through pumps, then splits into these 3 refineries. And I've got a double buffer to make sure we've got plenty of fluids there, plenty of sulfuric acid. That then pipes off using gravity to start with, goes down there, and then it ends up pumping down. Actually, I think that one might even use gravity most of the way, because where it starts high, apart from that, that's all downhill. Was I going to build a pump down here? I can't remember. I think that one was fine. If I quickly scoot over here. Pretty sure this is still full. And I crash. Let's just pop back up here. That's all full. Alright, yeah, it seems to be doing alright. Anyway. So back to this first little offshoot of the factory that I did. This is once I built my crystal mine, which we'll go up to and see when we go and see aluminium. This facility in here, again, it was a relatively earlier one, but it's somewhat efficient. Everything comes in. We've got rocks coming in from outside, or stone, limestone, which gets put into the constructors to make concrete. Make loads of concrete, because you do need a lot of concrete. So lots of concrete coming through here, and these crystals, the quartz, are being turned into silica, which you use to make glass, and into quartz crystals for making other things that need quartz crystals. This area then feeds into my main factory and feeds the buffers just here. So you can see from all the things I'm making around this lower level, around the factory, this all feeds into these buffers. So in here we have silica, we have quartz crystals, we have concrete, we have copper ingots. That would be iron ingots, but they're being used a lot at the moment because of screws. More iron ingots here, so I do have a second production going through there, which I could link into there to help offset. Maybe one side of my factory up top is going faster than the other. That's probably what's happening. And over here we have more iron, as you just saw, caterium. What's this? It's running low, whatever it is. Steel pipes, maybe? But whatever it is, it's low. Very low. Okay. I haven't checked that for a while. Steel beams. I think this is steel beams and steel pipes, because these last two are rubber and plastic. Yeah, there's plastic and there's rubber. So yeah, I think that's my steel beams and pipes. I did see on Total's channel, I did see the other day, he shared some of how to make some of his blueprints, and he had a really awesome compact foundry blueprint, which I want to make, which I'm totally going to do before 1.0, hopefully probably over the weekend when I'm off stream. But yeah, they feed into there. So anyway, and then those buffers go up to the next floor. So it takes all these materials, I would call, well, the foundry is maybe tier 2, but most of these standard materials made from raw ore and stuff, I've basically wanted to buffer them all here, so then they could all be taken upstairs to be used on the next tier of construction. Oh yeah, and I have a little factory car. But it ended up being more annoying than it was. It's kind of more of a novelty, but at some point I wouldn't mind having little runways and stuff to be able to run one of these around a bit nicer. So when I build my second factory, because I did build with carts and stuff in mind, that's why I left these wide spaces originally. But as I built up higher, I needed more and more space. I ran out of room to be able to really do ramps and stuff and things like that. So yeah, I just used the stairs since we started using the stairs. But I made the hypertube hub to avoid having to do this. As you can see here, this has taken what, 30 seconds it's going to take to get to the next floor. I'll show off this floor in a second, but just for a comparison's sake, if I'd done that from the hypertube hub, hypertube set, you know, there you go. I mean, that's how quick it was. 1, 2, 3 seconds compared with 30 seconds. You know, it's all about speed and efficiency in games like this. Well, it doesn't have to be if you don't want it to be. It can be as immersive or whatever as you like. But for me, I was like, nah, I need to get up, and those stairs are annoying me. Even though I built it and it looks pretty, it's annoying me. Anyway, so the center here. So on this floor, we then use the ingots. So we've got copper ingots, caterium, and then iron over there, which I'll show you in a moment. These then going into my constructor blueprints, which are a little bit more efficient because I took away some of the gaps. They're then creating things like copper sheets, copper wire, and then they're going off into their own buffer over there. And then over here we have things that caterium does, like caterium's making caterium wire, extra copper wire because you need a lot of copper wire, and extra copper wire because you need a lot of copper wire. Nice thing is, from the MAM, was able to upgrade, so I could use Caterium to make copper wire. It's like an alternate recipe, alternate Caterium wire. See all the different recipes in here. It's your standards. Then you use the electronics with the alternate Caterium, biomasses, DNA capsules and stuff from living things. Oh, excuse me. God, am I boring myself? Alright. Canisters, fluid tanks, rebar for your little rebar gun. Anyway, they're all going into these buffers over here. So coming out of the central buffer and going into an end buffer, which is then being used upstairs. So we will now scooch over to the other side, because the other side is essentially doing the same from these initial two. We've got, there's my iron that's not so full anymore, but literally as iron's going at the bottom, it's getting used straight out up here. This one's still not too bad. I could probably do some splitters or something to merge and split here so that I could even out the iron into the different areas. But it's mainly because of screw production that's going so like it is. So we've got iron plates being made here. Over here, I think this is probably screws, maybe? Might be going too slow for screws. Oh no, it's iron plates. There we go. Over here, we've got more iron ingots coming in on this side. Why did I do that coming around the opposite side? I don't know, but I mirrored it. That was it, so it was better for there. So yeah, screw production. This is the one that's taking most of the iron, because you need so many screws. Oh my goodness, especially when you get into manufacturing. As you can see, my buffer is empty there of screws. I think I'm using the alternate methods here to make screws, cast screws. So I'm using iron ingots to make 20 screws at a time. That makes 125 per minute, so that's 250, 375 per minute from that side. Did I use the same recipe over here? Yeah, so I'm trying to make per minute over 600-700 screws, which isn't keeping up, unfortunately, but it's keeping up just okay-ish. Anyway, iron plates going in there, and then we've also got iron bars being made from the iron down here. So over here we've got iron bars and iron bars. It might be worth me changing one of these to screws, to be honest. If I change this side to screws, because it's getting more iron. Because as you can see, I'm buffering up on iron bars fine. I'm not needing that as much as I thought I would originally. But I think that's because there's the other screw recipe iron bars. Is that why? Iron rod, screws, iron rods. Yeah. So that's probably why I had the extra iron bar originally. I'm just gone and done the other orbit. Okay, fair enough. Anyway, they buffer into there, and then they scoot upstairs. Some of them, namely screws, go to two different places because they're needed. Right, so we're going to go up to the next level, up to level 3, which is where I have my assembly and manufacturing area. Well, my original assembly and manufacturing area, before I then branched out and done other things, made things more spaghetti. So, factory second floor. So up here, yeah, is my assembly area. So again, an extension of the buffers coming up through the centre. But the buffers here now, the buffers generally come up through the floor. So the buffers I view from downstairs, it's now using the ends of the buffers. So the centre area, because it's not using those materials up here, can now be used for the materials that are made up here. And then the buffers from downstairs come up through the floors. So you can see here, there's the pipes, there's the plastic, there's the rubber. And that is the steel beams, I believe. Yeah, steel beams. On the other side, we have the concrete, the quartz, and the silica coming up here as well. And they, along with a bunch of stuff that's made elsewhere and casted in across the top. So those four that went to the back, so you know you had your wires, your cables, and your cateriums and all that, they're all coming in along a roadway or a conveyor belt way along the centre, which I'll show you more when we get into the manufacturing area. So they come up here, and then they enter a distribution area along with other items. So down here we have two-sided assembly area. So I think I've got 8 assemblers, or something, or 7 on each side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 on each side. So 12 assemblers, all making different items. So we've got here, we're making encased industrial beams. I think I've got a double of that. Yeah, encased industrial beams, which are using concrete and steel beams. Here, for example, we've got modular frames being produced by reinforced iron plates and iron rods. And same again for modular frames, because I needed more of them at the time. Reinforced iron plates, which then literally they come out of there, go into the distribution centre up top. This is when I started learning about having a logistics floor, so that you can keep all those logistics hidden away. But then when I got to here and then started doing stuff here, to the buffers and everything, it all went a bit crazy, and the logistics floor that's hidden up there spewed out everywhere. Yeah, still good fun. Over here, what we're making, so we've got stators, and then this I think might be, yeah, the rotors, AI limiters. The auto save keeps getting in the way, doesn't it? Circuit boards, modular frames again, because needed loads of those for heavy modular frame production, and motors themselves, which uses the stators and rotors that are made from down there. So as you can see around the side, the different materials that we needed were brought down the side, as well as screws being brought up here and then around the edge to go to the manufacturing area at the back. As you can see here, plastic and pipes coming down here and being distributed amongst where it's needed. There's of course the logistics floor up there, which we'll get to in a moment, that's bringing other items down. And here's where the buffer comes from downstairs. So you've got your iron plates and your rods and screws coming up here. And you can see the two screws, they're the external one going onto the other floor to go around to the manufacturing, and then this line of screws is being used here. These then distribute themselves evenly between the different places that are needed. That's extended here in case that was needed anywhere else, but I didn't need it anywhere else at that point. And then other items then carry on to then be used again around the back, so I can get as many screws in the manufacturing area as I can. Here I've got the iron steel beams coming in, plus concrete to make the encased steel beams. That's working relatively well. As you can see, even though I'm out of buffers in places, these are still producing relatively well up here. Another line of steel beams in case I needed it anywhere. And all those items that are being produced here are then coming through. Some of them are being split because they share a conveyor belt line for logistic purposes, and then come into these buffers here. And then these, where you can see them going up top, are either going back, coming out of there to then store in here. So that's other items that are produced by the assemblers. Or there's also some items that are then going up into the ceiling. Where are they? There, some items are going up into the ceiling because they were used in phase 3 production, which then comes out of the roof, which we looked at earlier, goes over to the phase 3 construction over there, which is technically now phase 4, la-di-da. Then, right, so the logistics floor was up here for this level. Now up here it's a bit pastery, a bit spaghetti, but it worked for me, it did what I needed it to do. This is the point of having a logistics floor, so you can just hide your spaghetti away from everything. But yeah, this is all stuff being distributed around, stuff coming up from the assemblers from below and then being taken off down to the other areas. Some items coming in from that conveyors from the top, from the rear buffer at the front of the factory, which then goes down and gets used down there on the factory floor. Okay. Also up here, I think I've got a reinforced iron plate buffer, I think, over here. I think it's reinforced iron plates. Yeah, reinforced iron plate buffer as well, because then they're used in a few different things, a few different recipes. So they come out and also get stored in an extra buffer here too, which is that one up there. So from there, I've got a little side entrance here. Well, here's the top of the stairwell. We also have a little side entrance. We were in it a minute ago, but I didn't want to show it just yet. So this was my main initial manufacturing area. So each of these manufacturers takes between 3 and 4 items to input. So of course, as you can see here, the walls are full of items. This manufacturing floor, again, lots of conveyors around, moving stuff around, taking stuff to different places. This was mainly to support these 4 big manufacturers that were producing things incredibly slowly. So this one's doing high-speed connectors using a combination of those 3 ingredients. This one's the computer, that's right, yeah, using those 4 ingredients. And And then this is heavy modular frame. I think this is on both sides, heavy modular frames, if I remember rightly. Yeah, that's right. And these all have their inputs around the back. All at their respective heights for as they come in, so I didn't have to make too much up and down mess. And again, then they got the items coming up from downstairs. They're being used. I also needed to use them up here, so I split them off here and then rejoined my 4-way conveyors up there, which is then this little road that I made to then take this over to the other side. I even started making this little logistics hidey block here, but then once I realised how much of a mess all this ended up being, I was like, you know what, I don't think there's much point. But that looks like it's there to help hold it all up, I suppose. Kind of looks neat. And then I made a nice little window at the end here, so I could see out and see the other views and parts of the factory. My obsession with supports, making things look like they're properly supported, just putting, you know, it came off a little bit at the edge, so put a support in, because that's where it fit.